Good morning and welcome to the session here this morning. And first I would like to welcome you all to Lawrence Technological University, LTU, and I see a couple of familiar faces. So welcome to this session and taking safety serious. So today I am so excited to be able to introduce Dr. Ahmed Al-Bayati. He has provided some new touch points, if you will, for our college, especially when it comes to safety and training. And I want to thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
So I will, of course, let him handle the professional program, but I do want to make sure that you understand as a technological university, we are really taking safety very seriously. We may not always understand everything we have to do, but we are here to learn, just like you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming today. This is first time we host Coffee with Michigan or with MIOSHA event, and I'm very happy and excited about this. So I moved to Lawrence Tech in August from Western Carolina University, and the first day I came here, I contacted MIOSHA and tried to build a relationship with them, because I understand safety is very important, and for us, for all of us, we need to keep update and understand what's going on with safety and with the law itself. So I'm very happy to have this event, and I hope to have it at least once a year, to have all professionals from the area here come and meet with MIOSHA personnel to learn more about safety. So thank you so much for coming here, and thank you for all of you for coming and make this happen today. Before we start with Michigan OSHA, I just would like to mention there are two articles. They are available for you on the folder. One of them about quality and safety management practices and how these two things align together. I did this work with Bruce. He's my friend, my colleagues. We worked together when I was working as a safety coordinator for the city of Kalamazoo for a while. So this is a good article about how management, how quality, how we could improve the quality of the work through improving safety. Also, there's a new article is published about a new model for safety culture and safety climate. This is especially for construction firm, and this is again is a national effort. So I did this work with Alex Albert. He's from North Carolina State University, and George Ford from Mississippi State University. So these are, I hope you're going to see a few useful information for you. And if you have any questions about these articles, please let me know. I will be happy to help with it. Plus, if you go to my website, with LTU website, Lawrence Technological University website, just you can search it, LTU plus Ahmed, you're going to find it. You're going to find all these slides for Silica OSHA training. All free or available, Spanish and English, plus there is Silica forms like evaluation, pre-test, and test. All these are available. But please be aware, these are all federal OSHA. So if you're going to work here in Michigan, you need to be sure you are aware of the Michigan OSHA law for Silica. So all these slides are available, free, and they are all funded by OSHA. So they're supposed to be, I hope they are good enough for your work. Finally, before we start with the event, there is a coming soon session. We're going to hold it here. I'm going to send an email to you to let you know about it. It's about using EMR, experience modification rate, as a pre-qualifier for safety. Is it good enough or not? This is a study I conducted with the North Carolina Department of Labor, and the result is not good enough. EMR is not good enough to be used as a pre-qualifier because there are many factors that are not safety related could impact the EMR value. So if you use it as a pre-qualifier, will be a good session for you to come and learn a little bit about EMR. I think that's all. There's more, two things. There's ongoing safety research projects here in Lawrence Tech. First thing is using virtual reality as training. For example, we have roofers. It's difficult to train them on job. Let's use virtual reality. So we are working on this virtual reality training. Then we are trying to create also temporary traffic control smart system, just to be sure we are laying the cones correctly and within the law. We are working on these. We are looking for partners. So if you are able to fund us, please let me know. We are looking to fund our graduate students and equipment on these two projects. But virtual reality is the future when it comes to training. And we need something to improve our temporary traffic control for sure. So there's need for these two projects, and we are working on them. And that's all for me. Let's move on to the Lawrence, Michigan OSHA. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Lawrence, all yours.
Thank you so much. I have trouble sitting down and talking, so I'm going to stand up if you don't mind. Good morning, everyone. I am Lawrence Hidalgo. I'm the director of the Construction Safety and Health Division of MIOSHA. At MIOSHA, we are about protecting workers, hoping that we can create a safer and healthier environment for workers. And that is our mission, and that's what our fine staff of folks do every day. I also thank you for the project on the silica. That's, silica and construction. How many of you are from construction? Okay, about half of you. Great. So as you know, we have the new silica standard in construction, and if you need more information about it, please contact our SET division. They will be happy to come out and discuss it with you. What do you need to do to be in compliance? There's the table 1 in the standard that makes it real easy, but if you can't do the table 1, then there's a bunch of other stuff you have to do, and they'll work with you and helping you understand what you're supposed to do for silica. So today we have Ben Canellis with the SET division. That's our Consultation, Education, and Training division. We have Jerry Sakarchuk with the Construction Safety division as a safety officer. And we have Catherine Galen, also construction industrial hygienist. So she can also answer questions about silica. First off, everybody's familiar with federal OSHA. Federal OSHA came about in the early 70s to protect workers. And under the OSHA Act, it gives states the opportunity to be a state plan. And there's requirements you have to do to run your own state plan, but you really have to be as effective as the standards with federal OSHA. So that's what we do. So in Michigan, we're a state plan, and we like that. We're right in Lansing. We're very personable. You have questions, we have Ask MIOSHA, or you can give us a call, or you can contact the SET division. If you're an employer and you get citations, you get to you can talk to someone on the phone about your citations. There's several steps of appeals you can go through, so you have more rights. And I think that our instruction and training is one of the best. So you get a lot of benefits by having a state plan. So every 5 years we come up with a strategic plan. What are we going to be working on? What are we going to do to get better? Some of the biggies are reduce exposures, injuries, illness, fatalities, promote benefits of positive safety culture. Studies show that as an employer, the more you do to help employees be safe, first it reduces your cost overall, but it also gives the employers the understanding that you care about them. And if you care about your employees, they become better employees. So it really does work well to have a positive safety culture. And we want to strengthen the public confidence in MIOSHA. We get comment cards back from employers every month after they've had an interaction with us, and they're very positive. So I'm proud of that we are making a positive impact as MIOSHA with employers and employees. One of the measures we look at is the injury and illness rate. And you can see from the early 90s, where it's 11.5, down to 3.1 as of 2018. That's a huge difference. Part of that is, I think, education and training from MIOSHA, but it's also, I see a change in the employers and how they see safety and health and go about working with their employees, and many employers getting safety and health personnel on staff to look after their employees. So that's awesome. And we can see the numbers have gone down dramatically. and the fatalities. Fatalities has come way down from the early 90s, but we kind of reached a point where we're stagnant. In fact, 16 and 17, we had a spike, and you can see the numbers here in Michigan. We're not really sure why. A lot of fatalities, spikes in fatalities. Another thing we're seeing, and you talked about the road work, and I appreciate that, the road workers, because we're seeing an increase of fatalities of people that have jobs that put them in the road. The trash collector that was out just doing his job and gets hit by a car. School bus driver. There was a crossing guard, even bought her own little stop sign that had the flashing LED lights around it to be safer for her and the students. And a driver hit her and killed her in the road. A lot of it we're seeing is distracted drivers, impaired drivers. A few weeks ago I was on the highway and saw an 18-wheeler, and he swerved over into the other lane, well, moved over into the other lane, forced the car off the road, whips back. I get up there, and the truck driver's on the cell phone. I mean, you know, I don't know how we get the message out that distracting driving is not working, but we got to work on it. So 2019, we had a total of 33 covered fatalities. That means somehow the fatality was related to the work the employee was doing. We have a lot of employees that have heart attacks while they're on the job and pass away. Well, that's normally not covered. So 33 in 2019, and you can look at the 14 were struck by. 8 were falls. We had 4 shocks, 3 caught in betweens, an inhalation, and 3 others. The falls just get me. We have so much equipment out there today for fall protection, and employees still want to fight using the fall protection equipment. Baffles me. Okay, a couple slides, trick questions here. What are the 2 most dangerous activities at work? Smoking, 1,200 deaths per year. And you know, have you seen an increase in the number of young people smoking? I at my office and look outside because you can't smoke in the building, and the number of young people out there smoking is going up. I don't understand that. And driving, 30 deaths per year in driving. We're just not being as safe in cars as we need to be. They don't by chance in their packet get a handout of this PowerPoint, do they? Okay. So here's some of the top cited standards that are cited. And we have 2 enforcement divisions. We have the construction, which handles anything involving construction. And also in our division, we handle most of the asbestos inspections. If you don't fall in under there, the general industry you'll probably fall under there. So you'll see the first 2 letters, CS for construction, GI for general industry, OH for occupational health. Biggies in construction, not using their personal protective equipment, not using safety glasses, hard hats, gloves. When it's necessary to use those things, people should be using them. Number 2 in construction is the fall protection. Every year, that's right up in the top 3. In construction, our strategic goal, 1.3, is reduced by 1% a year over 5 years, the days away, restricted, or transfer injury. We call that the DART rate. And we have been seeing significant decreases over the year in that. And we want to do the same thing for fatalities, reduce the rate of fatalities, the number. It's from the 70s to now, it's decreased large numbers, but even at 10 fatalities a year in construction, that's 10 too much. All the fatalities could have been prevented. So let's get the message out there to the folks, you know, do what you need to do. In fact, in construction, it all boils down to the Focus 4, and we'll look at those in just a second. One of the things that we're doing in MIOSHA is increasing the number of hours we work outside of the traditional workday. So a lot of construction of roads happens at night, weekends. So we're trying to get more officers out at those times to help the road workers. Also, we have a health focus on silica, lead, cadmium, and asbestos. So in construction, we're looking at those things. And we're working with SET to coordinate our outreach so that employers get the instruction and training they need and not just being out there writing citations. So what are the Focus 4 in construction? These are over 80% of the fatalities in construction are these 4 items. Number 1 is the falls. Then we have electrocution, struck by, and crushed by or caught between. If we could take care of those, we'd go from 10 fatalities a year down to 2, and that would be huge. So again, we got to stress to the construction workers, take care of these 4 issues and you're golden. So 9 of the 38 MIOSHA covered fatalities were workers in the roadway. That's a big number. And there's a lot of people that have to work in the roadways. So we are working with, well, we'll see that in another slide, but construction workers, tow truck drivers, garbage collectors, police officers, and the teacher crossing guard. Is it distracted or impaired driving? Yes, most of them are. A lot of these fatalities, the police have gotten involved in criminal action taken towards those individuals, but still lives have been shattered, and so how do we stop it from happening? There's a lot of things we do in MIOSHA besides just going out inspecting jobs, and what we do here on working roadways, we're doing in other areas as well, but we're doing for working roadways training and seminars, collaborate with MDOT and the Michigan State Police on messaging, billboards, social media. We'll talk about the alliances and partnerships here in a second. We even send out letters to targeted industries, so a lot of the employers, we know what industries they're in, and we'll send out letters and reminding them and let them know what we offer to help. And targeted enforcement. One of the things we've targeted in the last 3 years in construction is the blight demo. A lot of demo work going on, especially in the Detroit area, Saginaw, Benton Harbor, St. Joe's, and making sure that employers are doing what they need to do to protect workers in demo. You're dealing with silicon, lead, and asbestos, and we want to protect those workers. So we hit, like I said, we hit a peak in 2016 with the fatalities from falls, 22 of 43, 51% of them. We had a huge spike in the tree trimmers, fatalities among the tree trimmers, so we went after that industry and getting the word out. Roofers, the employees are just so reluctant to use fall protection, and so we keep working hard. So we have had an emphasis getting out to the job sites on fall protection, sites where there's roofers and carpenters, and trying to get the word out. 15 of 38 were falls, 8 of 38 were falls, and then 8 of 33. So you can still see a large number of the fatalities are from falls. Another emphasis is trenching. Lots of bad excavation work out there. So we're trying to get the message. You either slope it, you shore it, or you shield it. Do one of those and you're going to protect your workers. We've seen sites where the shielding was there, but they didn't use it. Or sites where, okay, we're just going to dig real quick, get in and out, so we're not going to slope it, and then you get heavy rain and you have an accident. So also, this is the Fed's website, but we have a lot of material on MIOSHA's site too as well if you need it. We have a trenching stand-down event for the week of April 8th. If you're a construction employer and you wish to have us come out and talk about trenching safety with your employees, we're happy to do that. We also have on the MIOSHA's website, we have fatality summaries, training resources, our standards. Construction has its set of standards, GI has its set, they're right there online, you can get right to them. Lots of publications and resources for you there on our website. Okay, in MIOSHA's strategic goal 2.1 is to promote safety and health programs on 100% of our MIOSHA visits. So we want to make sure you have a safety program, something in writing that your employees can look at. And we're going to try to evaluate those on each of our comprehensive visits and let you know, okay, you got a good one here, or look, you may need to get work with set and boost this area of your plan up. So take advantage of that, and there's also sample safety plan on MIOSHA's website that you could use if you don't have one. So every workplace should have a safety and health plan. We also have the Michigan Training Institute. We've had 165 classes, 2,329 participants, 152 certificates have been awarded, and there's a level 1 and a level 2. So there's a lot of benefits for going through these classes. Of course, the education that you can bring back to your employees, but the certifications. And then, let's see, do they have, well, we'll see the slide in a minute. So it's Oakland University, right? MTI, yes, but isn't it Oakland University that has the bachelor's program that, yep.
Credit towards it.
So if you completed the MTI courses, you can get 11 EMS credits for Bachelor of Science. So that's cool. And we're developing MTI courses that will be online. I think the first one is when MIOSHA visits.
Yeah, when I was on MIOSHA visits.
Yeah. So in education, as you know, we're going more to online training, and MIOSHA is working with Macomb to get more of our stuff online. We'd like you to stay connected with us. You can get that with MIOSHA News that's available online quarterly. We have an e-news that goes out by email monthly. Good information. You can see best practices of other employers. MIOSHA Gov delivery emails, you can sign up for that. So if you go to michigan.gov/MIOSHA, you can get to our sign-in page and connect with us and receive our publications. Also on our website, we have the Michigan Worker Death Notifications. Good information that you can share with your employees and say, you know, here's why we're trying to make you wear your fall protection. This is what's happening. You know, you can learn from others' mistakes, so use that information with your staff. What else do we have on our website? We have fact sheets. We have sample programs. There's also an Ask MIOSHA, so if you've got an issue, you can get online and punch it in to Ask MIOSHA. We'll get an email. One of our staff will provide an answer for you. We try to get it within 5 days, but in construction, we're generally a day or two get an answer back to you. Also posters and stickers if you want to get to your employees, your job sites, pamphlets. There's 5-minute safety talks, once a week safety talk, and especially in construction, it's always good for your employees. There's also videos that you can check out from MIOSHA. We also have a number of videos that are streaming. There's Summit training that's out of Grand Rapids that provides some videos that you can actually get online through MIOSHA and view. So some of the other things we do in MIOSHA's cooperative programs. We have the Michigan Voluntary Protection Program, MSHARPS, SET Awards, Silver Gold. I don't know that. Oh, Ergo. So ergonomics. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. Michigan Challenge Programs, Alliances, and Partnerships. We love the partnerships in construction. So the MVP is the best of the best. They go beyond the minimum standards, great partnership opportunities, share best practices. A lot of them will mentor new employers. So that's just awesome with the MVPP. Alliances, where we'll work with a group that will help to train their members, or a university or community college that's getting involved in training for us, we like it when they're in the construction area. So partnering with us, creating an alliance to get more of the word out, get more training. Partnerships. We love these in construction because one thing, the DART rate that we talked about earlier goes down by over 50% on those job sites. Because we've got a general contractor who's very active in making sure the subcontractors are following the plan. What did we agree to in the partnership agreement, and making sure all the subcontractors are doing it. And in construction, you have workers that move from job site to job site and from employer to employer. And what they learn on this job site, they take with them to the next and share. So that's one of the big ways in construction the injury and fatalities have gone down so much, is the employees moving around training other employees. Hey, you can't do that, you got to do this. So that's been great in construction, and we love our partnerships. Okay, we have grants that go out. One of them is for our partners who do training. So $620,000 was awarded in fiscal year 19-20 for grantees. And you can see some of the names, and community colleges up there, and universities. And My Wish grants. So we have a grant program, and I think it was $250,000 a year. If you're an employer and you need some training or you want some new equipment, we will give you up to $5,000, as long as there's money there, as matching. So the employer has to also invest that $5,000 at least in whatever they're paying for. So get in early in the fiscal year, ask for it, give us a good justification, and I don't know, $5,000 extra goes a long way in safety. So take advantage of it. Some of our recent changes in our standards. In construction, lead exposure, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Big change. Let's see, cranes and derricks. So we'll talk a little bit about the changes there. Okay, so the lead. Previous medical removal from the job site was 50 to 60 micrograms per deciliter. And return to work was 40. Now that's huge. What is it? General population is less than 2, and serious health effects at 5 to 10. But we were letting workers work up to 50 to 60. So it's been reduced. Medical removals at 30, and return to work level at 15. Okay, some deadlines. If you're an employer, you have to post your MIOSHA 30A form between February 1st and April 30th. You have to put that up on your job site, your work site. March 2nd, you have to have it filed electronically. Some of the things you need to do is training. Some training needs to be done on a periodic basis. Sometimes you just have to do training whether they're new or it appears they need retraining. So check on your training records. What do you need to do for this year? And you should always take an annual inspection of your safety plan. Looking at your data from the previous year, where do you need to bump up your safety plan if you need to? What are things that are happening? What do you need to do for additional training? So we want to thank you for all you do in the safety field, keeping people safe and healthy. If there's anything we can do to help you, we're willing to do that. We want to do it. As you saw, we've got lots of plans out there like the partnerships and alliances to help. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the rest of these fine folks from MIOSHA to answer all of your questions.
As far as the questions part is very informal. You can come on down. We have some handouts down here. You're welcome to the coffee, tea, water, and goodies. We'd like to thank our hosts for providing that for us. Anybody have any questions? Feel free, come on down. You don't have to be pointed.
In fact, no one can leave until we've had at least 5 really good questions.
Yes, sir.
First of all, my name is Rafael Masood. I'm with the city of Detroit, from Detroit. And I'm very thankful for hosting this event. We have an inspection staff of about 40 inspectors that are out in the field every day. And looking at these numbers, I can say that we're doing something good. That, as I recollect, I had only one minor injury in the last 3 years. That was the inspection's fault. So, but I would really like if there's some kind of training that can be done as a joint venture with MIOSHA, especially related to traffic control. So I'd be really glad that thank you. And everything works on that? It's
Not right now, we don't know. It's something that I think construction's working on, and they're gonna be probably joining up with set. To maybe provide something in the future, but a lot of that training is provided in NDOT right now.
And like Ben is right, our Constitution Education Training Division, they do have emphasis. Traffic control, MDOT is, that's where we get our information as an enforcement officer. There's a manual that MDOT publishes, and that's my Bible when I do the enforcement part. So they're kind of the lead on that.
Hey, my name is John Paponis, and I actually work in the biomedical engineering department here in Lawrence Tech. And with a lot of the emphasis on safety and even safety research, does MIOSHA provide any possible avenues for students who are interested in research and design projects that are targeted towards specific needs of workers? Because I know personally I have a lot of students who are interested in doing that type of engineering design work. And are there any funding opportunities or grants or point people for student projects that are interested in that kind of research and development?
Maybe. Yes. So if you would call our office, okay. There is the chance we may be looking for some students in the near future.
That's one of the things that was brought up to me earlier a couple of years ago, Lawrence. There is a law that prohibits students going out with me as an enforcement officer because of privacy issues. But that same student can go out with Ben because he's in a consultant capacity. And we have had industrial hygiene students go out with the industrial hygienists. But as far as with the safety officers, there's a federal law that prohibits somebody who's not part of the enforcement as well as us.
Yeah, even if there isn't like official like sponsorship or explicit collaboration, having our students actually go out with officers, looking at real life examples of situations in the workplace, that's really important. We already, like personally in BME, we encourage students to go to hospitals and see clinical practice, but for this type of engineering, we just don't have a lot of opportunities to send our students out to see those types of examples in the real world and then design for them.
So if you'll contact our office and we can sit and talk about what we've done in the past and
Sure.
what opportunities may be there, and maybe we can get something for you.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's 2, 3 more.
I have a question for Catherine. Industrial health hygienist, can you explain to me what that consists of?
Yeah, so basically as an industrial hygienist, the main focus is I focus on health-related exposures and making sure employees aren't exposed to hazardous materials or things that can cause health effects. And in the construction capacity, a lot of my work focuses around things like asbestos, lead, silica, cadmium. Those are the main things that I look at. So I'm in enforcement, so making sure that employers are protecting their employees from those types of exposures.
Okay, so you're out as well, checking, and do you have actual handheld machines that can detect those kind of things, or what?
Yeah, so we can do air monitoring. I don't commonly do that in the enforcement capacity, but we do have the ability to do that, and we have different instruments that we can use to measure things like, total dust, silica. We can do asbestos air monitoring, things like that, or noise monitoring. There's a couple different methods that we have that we can take.
And they can also do sampling
Yes.
with asbestos, with lead, and MIOSHA has its own laboratory that takes those samples and gives back the readings.
And I'm curious about what's happening in Madison Heights with the green goo kind of thing. How are you to know things like that are going on?
So I'm not involved with that, so I don't really have too much to say about that.
Well, it's a good question. How do we find out things in MIOSHA? Yeah, so.
It sounds like that's went on for a while. How is?
So we find things through media. We find things from people calling in, what we call complaints. If it's imminent danger that we get a call on, we're going to try and get someone out there quickly. People on top of a steep roof without fall protection, we want to get someone out there quickly. So those are the type of ways we find out about the green ooze.
Yeah, it's just amazing what some people don't realize that they're doing, or they do realize that they don't care about other people's health. It's just crazy. I can't imagine.
If I'm not mistaken, that was handled by the EPA, not MIOSHA. Totally different entities.
Yeah.
Yeah, for us, we're going to look at it if employees
Right.
are at risk.
And his employees had to have been affected by that at some point if they were dumping and doing things like that. So, yeah.
What is the trigger size for you to be able to come out and do industrial hygiene surveys for an employer, or isn't there a trigger size? Do you usually try to stay at small companies that you help with surveys of the CET folks, or?
For the CET folks, we have different sites. So our on-site consultants tend to work with companies that have 250 employees or less. But we have a traditional consultant that can work with employers that have as many as up to 1,000.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, we find that the larger employers tend to have the safer jobs. They've been doing it, they've got safety personnel, and
What I'm noticing is that there are some exposures that with all the distribution centers that are popping up, they're bringing in things to send here and to there lead that they have no idea about, because they're just handling it, right? So they don't think about these huge blocks of lead that they've brought in. Or yesterday I was at a converting company, and there were some they had lost their safety person a few months ago, and it's a pretty tight market right now to get another safety person, and they had they didn't know where to find their records on, we're in the high noise areas, we're in the facility. So they had that missing, and they hadn't done their annual surveys of their employees. So I said, okay, you need to get on this, and you need to get on this. And CET can help you, and they didn't know that resource was there. So A, you guys do a phenomenal job with the CET. B, I wanted to know if that company was too big for me to have referred them to you, but it doesn't sound like they were.
Shouldn't be.
Okay.
You guys deal with petroleum products, inhalation exposure, or is that NDQ? I mean, formally NDQ, educating and then people.
If it involves employees being exposed, yes, we're going to be involved. Yes. Question back there? I think you're going to need a mic.
Is it possible to get a slide deck and run through? Is it possible for us to get that?
Sure. If you'll leave a business card with your email, we can get it to you. Sure.
My question is to piggyback off the consulting. So a lot of the smaller companies are smaller members that can't afford the safety person or the resources for that. I've been trying to promote to them that you guys do the consulting. I went to the MIDA conference and talked for the MIOSHA there as well. And she did give a good response, but it was more just laws. They're very afraid to use the service because they think it's going to trigger someone coming out and inspecting them.
Yes. Oh, excellent.
So my OSHA person did give, that it's a conflict of laws and they can't, but what's something maybe you guys can give me to go back with them for confidence that that's not going to happen? Because it's a great resource, especially for the smaller companies, and we have a lot of them for our members, but they are very, very, very afraid to use it.
That's a great point. Absolutely, there's a firewall between SET and the enforcement divisions. In fact, if we show up to a job site and the employer says, hey, I'm working with SET, the enforcement person is going to step back and call the office and make sure that's true. Because you're going to find this hard to believe. There's some employers that will tell us that when it's not true. So, yes, we will check and make sure. And if you're working with SET, great. We will step back and then... Now, it happens, because there's so many enforcement visits, it happens that SET may have been out there a day or two earlier and enforcement just happens to arrive. Because we don't call ahead, we drop in. And if we see workers on a roof, if we see excavations, we see cranes, we're probably going to stop on those job sites. And so then the employer gets the feeling that SET told enforcement to stop that job. No, that's not true. So I don't know what I can give you to alleviate those fears, but absolutely we take that firewall very seriously.
Firewall is a good word track. What do you say, what is the technical requirement? Because I want to share this with my clients as well. What is this stopgap? There's a law that says if this entity is engaged, this entity may not, or no information can be shared, or how is it?
There's no law. Okay. It's what we have done in MIOSHA, because we want you to work with SET. We want the employers to get the education and training they need. And because of the fears that if I get the training, now enforcement's going to be out before I can put everything into effect, MIOSHA has just instituted that firewall. Ben, when they're working with SET, I know there's documentation that goes back and forth. Is there official form that people sign off that?
There is. So typically when I would go onto a job site, I would let the contractor know that 10 days before the consultation date and 10 days after, that they have the availability to, if enforcement was to show up, provide them that piece of paper and say, we're working with SET right now. We would appreciate if you didn't do your inspection right now. So what the inspector will do, like he said, they'll call up and make sure it is true. It is an ongoing consultation visit. And if it is, typically the officer will leave. but the officer has no idea that there's something going on because we don't inform them where we are. And what we'll do is we'll provide them that piece of paper and they show that individual, but I also tell the contractor if they see something from the outside, someone who's working on a roof and they don't have fall protection, by law, they have to address that.
Yeah.
So you may get something for that issue, but everything else on the inside that they can't see in plain view, that enforcement officer will read the job site.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. If it's an truly imminent danger activity going on, we're going to do a little bit more. We're not just going to walk away. We've got to do something. Yes, sir.
Do you typically find the municipalities or the contractors? Either I'm saying, an inspector that go out in the field, they spot check traffic control at the east and the next time. What if the contractor makes some changes, then the inspector comes back, he's talking, and you guys show up. So who's going to explain, the contractor?
So the question is generally what we call multi-employer. So are we going to have a citation for a municipality for traffic control that's been changed, the plan's been changed by the employer? Based on the facts you gave, probably not because of the changes. But we also look at who's in the best position to make the changes, make sure that safety's being done correctly, safety and health. And so those are things we talk about in the office. And so sometimes the municipality might get cited. But in the scenario you gave, the very small scenario, probably not.
Questions on your faces, let's put a hand up and ask them. No question is a dumb question. Yes, sir.
Conventional fall protection versus warning lines in regards to roof work. Which one is the safer method to avoid a citation write-up?
Well, in my opinion, conventional fall protection is preferred over anything. Case in point, I had where they were using a safety monitor system, which is allowed in certain situations. By the time the monitors, they're told him to stop, he already went through the roof and fell 2 stories. And he had a harness on. The monitor was said stop, he would have fell through the hole, which you don't need a monitor, but the harness would have stopped him from falling 2 stories. So as an officer in all my years' experience, I found conventional works better. The law doesn't always require it, and I had the same question asked to me in the field, and I tell them, look, I'd rather have a harness on than take the chance of the monitor because the brain doesn't react quick enough.
The reason I ask, I'm from a general contractor, and every single roofing subcontractor we work with wants to utilize the warning system. And we kind of made it a company policy that you're not using that. You're going to use conventional tie downs, whatever you need.
OSHA and MIOSHA state that you as a contractor or an employer, you're allowed to be more stringent than federal and state law. So I applaud you for doing that because you're making it safer for the employees out there.
Yeah, Ben used to be in enforcement, and so Jerry and Ben, maybe you can tell me I'm all washed up, but with the warning lines, you know, most times they're not doing everything they're supposed to do using the warning lines, so then citations happen. Ben, is that what you?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Most people don't have the line set up 6 feet from the edge. The tension's not there. They'll have spots that are dropped. They'll have skylights that they didn't put warning lines 6 feet back around. So it's all about setting down, making sure that you're doing everything correctly. And if someone's going to work outside that warning line, use conventional fall protection methods at that point. You can use a combination of the two, which works well, but have a plan before you begin of what you're going to do from the start. And that's where we see a lot of the issues is the planning stage. If you would have done everything correctly in the planning stage, taken 15 minutes in the beginning, you wouldn't even have had an issue. But that's where people fail.
So if these folks from the municipality and from the general contractor, is there any protection in them if they have a written traffic control plan that's been documented on paper and designed and they agreed upon, and then the subcontractor does something different than what they wrote and agreed to? Kind of like how OSHA's looking at contracts in certain industries to see, where the responsibility lies. Let's say that the municipality lays out exactly what kind of traffic control design they're going to use, okay? If it's written up, they sign it, the contractor signs it. Is there protection for the municipality or for the general contractor in that? If they can evidence that to you, we agree to this, the subcontractor violated this, despite our, repeat auditing, we can't be there 24/7.
Yeah, so again, we're going to look at the totality of the circumstance. The municipality isn't on the job site. They come out maybe once a week just to inspect. And the employer does something in between that time. Probably no citation in that case. General contractors there every day, they know these guys are doing it wrong, they see it, but they don't stop it. So probably more likely to get a citation in that case.
May I add something about this? So this is part of multi-employer also.
Yes.
Yes.
And according to federal OSHA, I'm not sure about Michigan OSHA, it's mentioned they will be judged by practice or contract. So there's something mentioned in the contract that it's your responsibility to follow Michigan OSHA. The general contractor will be no controlling anymore because the contract tell the subs you are responsible for safety.
Well,
Comes down to knowledge.
so yes, yeah, the general contractor is there and says, hey, you've got to follow MIOSHA standards, and I'm not liable if you don't do it. Well, that's not a total indemnity. We still expect generals to vet their subs, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to, and if they're not, you know what, maybe it's time to get another sub. But to say, I didn't do anything, I'm there every day, yep, I saw it, but I contracted it away, it's all the sub, it's not me. We don't look at that. Yeah, we want everybody looking out for each other.
Here's the theory that was presented to me by Lawrence and Eric when the new staff came on. You as a general contractor, you're there every day. You have to do your due diligence to make sure your job site is safe. And some things you might not know, and then the officer takes that into account. But general, the guy's not wearing fall protection. It's your job to save someone. And I can't be there, Catherine can't be there, Ben can't. We can't be there every day. So we put the onus on you guys to make sure everybody goes home every day. So please, be safe. There's another question here, sir.
I'm in preface to the updates of the walking working surface standard in general industry.
Yes, sir.
We operate, construction company operates in multiple states, and I don't need one of these things. Right. So we're a construction company who operates in multiple states, and I've operated multiple state plans. And various states have implemented walking working surface requirements for construction industry as well as general industry that requires inspections pre-shift to walking working surfaces, especially when it comes to roofing activities.
Yes, sir.
And I was wondering if MIOSHA has any such standard, or has any type of...
Well,
long time.
okay, so are you talking about the GI's walking working surfaces standard, or because we don't have the same standard that GI has?
No, we have a different, part of our standards, whether you're working on a roof, or Part 45, or whatever, is their contractor responsibility to make sure the employees have a safe place to work. And the employer is responsible to evaluate the area that the employees are going to work at. Like the warning light system, it's the contractor's responsibility to check the roof to make sure it will withstand the load that's going to be imposed.
He's supposed to check that every day before he sends the guys up there. If you don't do that, then you're in violation of the standard. But you are correct. In our general industry, we just adopted brand new walking, working surface standard. That's for GI. So if you're doing GI, general industry functions, you'll be covered under the new standard. In construction, you always had a standard that says you've got to protect the workers and you've got to check where they're working.
So is that the only real change then, that the general industry standard is kind of meeting up with the construction standard?
It's a new standard. Theirs is actually different than ours. They have different requirements.
Yeah, it was quite interesting working through that new standard, and construction got it involved because part of the standard referred to some construction standards, and so it's quite interesting. But as far as construction, that standard itself normally just doesn't apply.
We run into this a lot when we go in. I used to work in construction as a millwright carpenter. We go into a plant. I'm there doing construction, and the construction rules applies to me. But if I'm there doing maintenance, then the GI standards would apply to me. That makes sense? And a lot of you have this in your facilities. You might be a general industry company, and guess what? You're doing a renovation or an alteration or an addition. So now you've got your workforce GI standards, then you got the guys doing construction, which maybe your people, you don't have to follow the construction standards. And I've been on those inspections, and what I did is I had a GI officer come with me. I applied in the construction area, the construction standards, and the GI partner, he did the enforcement on the general industry side. Did that help you guys any? And all of our standards are on the website, as Lauren said. I strongly recommend that you can download them. I have them on my phone. I can show you. And I refer to them all the time because they do have changes.
And if you have some more specific questions, feel free to call our office, and we'll get the expert in that standard talking with you. Yeah.
This is maybe a too general question. In terms of the illnesses that you report associated with work-site exposure, fatalities, is there any statistics on how long a particular individual has been on that job? Some of these things that you talk about a little bit by oversight by a particular person, maybe directly or indirectly on that particular job. But when we're looking at these type of data, yes, we have to look at every single one of them, but when you're looking at it as a big picture, do you have some guidelines that you add to your training materials, trying to get the message across for everyone in the organization?
Boy, that's a good question. We got lots of data. One of the biggies we look at especially in construction, is the demographics, male, female, and you ladies, you're much safer workers than we males are, probably because you don't take as many chances, or you read the directions, those kind of things. It's very interesting in construction, and we have demographics by age group, and the very younger workers, less experience, less training, et cetera, tend to have a higher incident rate. And then we're seeing a much higher incident rate above 60, 65. People that normally would have been retired who are still working or going back to work. And as you know, construction work's a high injury field to begin with. And so what we do know, we don't have the data for it, but what we know is if someone's been off of work, the longer they've been off of work and then go back, the higher the chance that they will get injured, early. getting back into the construction field. That would be interesting to have that data about how long they've worked on in construction and how safe are they. But I think I've been around the construction industry for over 40 years, and folks my age have been doing it for so long, you just don't even think about it anymore, and then things happen. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's about how do you help the policy side of it, because those type of training sessions, the culture of safety is something completely different from being able to ask, with your naked eye, see that, okay, they are on the roof, they should be on the roof in that particular condition. So culture may also have a lot to do with it, in general population as well as that subset of the population.
Excellent point. Safety is a cultural thing. 40 years ago, if you were on a construction site and you talked about, I want my safety, you were harassed mercilessly. Now, it's on many job sites, you're not being safe, you're going to get harassed because we don't want incident rates, we don't want people hurt. So it's a culture, absolutely safety is, and the culture has changed. We're just not quite where we need to be, so we're going to keep working on it. Yes, sir.
Just a comment here regarding training, and I'm talking to Dr. Ahmed about this too. The traditional way of training sometimes is not the best way to do it, because reading something or only watching something. Nowadays, the interactive and virtual reality training is much better for having employees can adapt the safety culture and think fast and hit the ground running when they get their job done. Just reading, trying to memorize or seeing lectures or slides is not the best way. And I'm hoping we're all getting to this. And again, I'll keep on this, Dr. Ahmed, that something is the future. And I think we all, as a general contractor and even industry practitioners, need to start working on this seriously. And I'm hoping OSHA start promoting this because this is the future.
Yes.
As you said, younger generations, they're on the phone, have less experience, and unfortunately, they have high rate of accidents and management on or eyes on. It's too hard for us to go through this. So I'm hoping we're getting there.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm on the board of trustees at Lansing Community College, and so very heavily involved in education. We have on campus, we have an awesome welding program, and part of it is some Lincoln welders that are virtual, really cool. And it reduces the learning time by over 30%, doing it virtually. So yeah, we're seeing more and more in the virtual world, especially in the trades where we thought they would never be virtual would ever work. It is. So yeah, that's a great point.
One thing I'd like to recommend, and I'm all for what you guys call on-the-job training. The big thing is an officer when investigating a fatality or an incident, you've got to document that. Just, on a piece of paper, we had a virtual reality training on welding, just document that, and that shows the officer that you did the training or you did the instruction. But that's what I see the industry's lacking is documentation. Because I've also seen on the flip side, he was there, he wasn't. That's why that guy got injured, because he wasn't at the training. So please document that.
But Jerry, we got into construction because we don't want to do paperwork.
Can you just have a sign-in sheet?
Yeah, that's all I
Even
mean.
a blank sign-in sheet with your name at the top of the date, everybody can just sign in.
Yeah, you can download that from MIOSHA because you want the right stuff on there. Also, thank you for not having the instructor name or something like that.
What we'd like to see is the day of the class, who the instructor was, what was the topic being taught, and then ideally a printed listed attendees, and then they sign next to it, so that way, they can't just fictitiously create these things. And the printed part is because, believe me, I have a hard time reading some of these guys, they're writing, and it's hard to tell. So by having the printed and then the sign in, it works fantastic. Any other questions? Sir?
State emphasis program, you talked about work and roadway. Where would I find, do you have a document that says, here's the state emphasis program, here's what we're looking for? Because we're not in construction, so we're not setting up temporary work zones. We're tow trucks, changing tires on the side of the road. Yeah. So I want to make sure that we're meeting your expectations along with our industry standards.
Yeah, so all of our emphasis programs, whether they be national, state, we do have a written plan. A lot of times it's just, okay, how are we going to get the information out there? What is MIOSHA going to do? We are in discussions. What do we do with those folks who aren't doing road construction, but they're in the road, the tow truck drivers? What can we do to protect those individuals? And if you've got any insight, we'd love to have it, so we could maybe beef up our standards or work on that SEP. Yeah.
For right now, until something becomes formal, what I would recommend is the Michigan Manual for Uniform Temporary Traffic Control. It has the traffic control requirements for short-term blocking the roadway, and it will tell you that you have to set up a flag so many feet. It is not as extensive as what you showed in your training, because that's set up normally for 3 hours or less, which is going to apply to you, and that's what it'll give you some good suggestions and tips on how to protect your people. Okay. Sir?
You were going to talk about cranes. I know the feds did a new thing on operators. The last time I heard, Michigan was just going to adopt as was, or is there some nuances to the what the Federal Registry came out with a year or two ago, whatever that was?
It was in last December. We came out with a standard that says that every crane operator has to be nationally certified into type, load, weight, and configuration. So just because you were certified in a 100-ton lattice boom crane, and now you added a jib, now you have to be certified for with the jib, or doing a double lift. So what that has done is it's created, the guy has to be trained in what he's doing, with the type of equipment he's using. So it's not a blanket, I can run a crane. It's got to be tight, and configuration, and tonnage.
So they have to be certified, and then the employer has to.
They have to make sure they have national certification.
Yeah, but the what is it called? The employer has to. It's not approved.
I'm sorry.
The cranes.
I was trying to find something for him.
Yeah. On the cranes, there's two parts. They have to be certified, and then the employer has to. It's not approved. What's the language we use?
Well, they have to go through and ensure that they know what they're doing. I can't think of the actual word.
Yeah, I can't either.
They have to be evaluated.
Evaluated. The employer has to evaluate.
Evaluation, yeah.
Does Michigan have any, what am I trying to think of, forms or anything they want any of that document on? Or, I mean, obviously, most companies have that. Does there just make sure we're getting all the bells and whistles?
The operator has to carry a certification card.
Absolutely.
And then on the back of the certification card, because we just went through training on this last December, on the back of the certification card, it states their tonnage, their configuration. It's all certified, and there's little codes on the back. So as an officer, I can look at his license and say, the first front tells me he's certified and his current. And I flip over on the back and it tells me all the certifications.
I think they're working on right now an evaluation sample sheet, where would typically be where our fact sheets are. I don't know how often you go to our website.
I think they are working on something right now to put in that slot so that contractors have an idea of what to be looking for when they're doing the evaluation.
Is there a
Is that
cadence
set that's
those
working on it?
evaluations
Eric
have to be
Allen's
done?
working on that.
Okay.
So, for instance, a forklift, I have to reevaluate the forklift operator annually or biannually.
In
So the
Michigan-
certification, NCC CO certification is good for 5 years, I believe, without being recertified. What is the cadence I have to validate their competencies to observe them and document that?
Here's the thing. I might be trained in, say, a 100-ton lattice boom crane. And I'm trained here in my facility. And then I come out to your site. I have to be evaluated to make sure I can operate on your site. The reason I say that is, when back at home, I set my crane up on a cement pad, totally stable. I come out to your site, is there a cement pad out there? Probably not. So I'm going to have to set my crane up, put my test weights on, make sure my outriggers aren't sinking, and then my crane is staying level. And that's the evaluation process. To make sure I stay level with the test load. Once I get that, then my test load is going to be my maximum lift. And then as long as I don't exceed my maximum lift, then I'm going to be good.
So it's not necessarily an evaluation by the employer, it's an evaluation of the crane operator, his pre-shift inspection of.
Well, the employer is involved in that.
Right, but as long as you've got the checklist and evaluation.
Yes, sir.
The operator performing that.
The operator has to do that, yes, but the employer has to evaluate the operator, making sure that they can do what's being asked to be done.
Is there a cadence for that? Well, how often do I have to do that as required by MIOSHA?
Yeah.
We have our own set of crane operators, is why I asked.
As site conditions, we have a little caveat in the laws, as site conditions change, that has to be reevaluated.
So maybe it's a different setup to the crane. Maybe where the crane was set up is not as stable as it was 2 days earlier. You know, has there been something that's changed that now needs you to reevaluate?
A good case in point, we had frost, you had the ground was frozen hard, and then all of a sudden you get the heat wave. Now all those pads are spongy. So now we gotta do something to change that.
But is that the employer having to reevaluate the operator, or just the operator reevaluate?
The operator's reevaluated.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm following you. I'm not sure. Like, for instance, like we've got a fleet of 4 cranes. We do our own lifts. The cranes may be on site, perform lifts on our construction sites for 4 or 5 hours. Doesn't usually take long, whatever lift he's performing. So it's set up, it's tear down real quick. I mean, the operators on a semi, the crane booms out, they're smaller cranes, but it still follows the same standards, right? On our prints for the job site, there's a location where the ground has been validated, it's stable enough where the operator set up. He shows up, he validates, it's good, that everything on the print is copacetic to what he pictures. And he sets up his crane there, performs his hang for the day, and then packs up and heads back. What beyond that? So I understand I have to do random evaluations of his performance to ensure his competencies. But how often do I have to do that?
The standard doesn't
The
say.
standard doesn't say, but I'm going to play the devil's advocate to what you just said. I was doing a pick at a company, and I did all the calculations, and I looked at the prints, I looked at the site, and I went to set up my crane, and there was an underground abandoned sewer system that they didn't tell me. And that's where my pad went. I couldn't put my pad there because I collapsed the road. So I had to move the crane, change the pad. So that just because you get a print and supposedly validated ground, things may change. And that's where your operator comes in, and he changes on the fly. And that's not where you got to go out there. As long as you have a good operator, you can do that, and you're okay. That makes sense?
Apples, comparing apples to oranges. If I have a forklift operator, I need to, and he's trained by an outside company down the road, I have to still evaluate that person means every 3 years. He's asking at what frequency does he have to do the evaluation of the person who received outside crane licensing?
He doesn't have to do the license evaluation. What he has to, the only evaluation he's doing is the site evaluation.
That's not what he's talking about. He's saying not the operator. He as the employer needs to evaluate, practical exam or evaluation of that certified crane operator. How many times once that certified crane operator gets their certificate and comes to him with the certificate, you said it has to be evaluated by the employer.
Yes.
So that evaluation is done initially and then how often thereafter?
And I don't know that the standard
There is
is
a
a
standard
higher on that.
specific on that. The only thing that the standard does say is the employer's, and we're going back to the old generic, the employer is responsible to provide a safe, pedestrian environment for all the employees on the site.
Yeah.
So if conditions change, you gotta make sure that the operator is doing a safe thing.
Yeah, just to kind of piece off on that, and okay.
All right, I think I may be able to offer some clarification what you're asking. So for a crane operator, to my understanding, 324 union, Operators Union, we had a meeting with them downtown Detroit, I think that was last winter. So if you're going to have a crane operator who's operating a crane, we sent our people to the observation class. What is it, Milford, Howell, whoever that is down there?
Howell.
And they were certified to be observers. And they even offer the observation sheet. So let's say that my guy's operating a Brody. I bring another guy in who's certified to be an observer, and he observes him operating the Brody. And if he operates that Brody, anytime after that, that Brody, that observation covers him. That was my understanding. So I don't know if that helps you clarify that, but they do make an observation sheet. You just got to make sure your operator keeps that on him. But if he goes to operate a different crane, he has to be observed that he can operate that crane safely.
Yes, that's my understanding too.
So I hope that helped some of you folks out there. But the resources are out there. And you call 324 and they will fax you or email you an observation checklist.
Questions, sir?
Well, I think that we kind of do similar work. You know, we send a boom operator out. He goes out for a couple hours at a time. You know, I think that's kind of where we're missing there is you know, when site conditions change. So if he's going out there to set up, he's doing a quick pick and then he leaves, then site conditions really haven't changed. He initially sat down, he confirmed that everything was set, and then he went and did his job and then left. So that's
not a problem.
Okay, so I think that he was getting confused, or I was kind of too, about the employer being involved every single time he's going out for every single job site.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just one here, having that many demolition and renovation happening in the country now, especially in Detroit here in other places, as a general contractor, we always ask, trying to enforce and standardize all demo and renovation projects, pay special attention to any structural demo. And because it's very critical, sometimes the demo contractor is not sophisticated enough to understand beam and column, slabs, and structural elements to how to deal with them. So we're always concerned and try to pay special attention to this level of the actual required. The question here is, what does OSHA have any standard or any reference or anything regarding the structural demo and how to deal with it?
Yes.
Yeah, we have a standard, structural standard, part 20. And in part 20, it describes all the requirements of the property owner, the general contractor, and the demolition contractor. And that's what I refer you to, especially in your case. It gives you, here's the guideline. And then you can also go to the federal website with interpretations. But that's what I do as an officer. If I run into something weird, I have part 20, and then I go to the federal interpretations to see maybe there's an interpretation for this whole weird thing. But in their big thing is an engineering survey. And part of the engineering survey, you know, it's going to tell you guys that's the silica, lead, and then there's a demolition plan. The we say, okay, we're gonna start at the top, and we're gonna do the roof, we're gonna do the walls, and then the 5th floor, and then we're gonna work our way down. And in that plan, it tells you everything we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it. And as an officer, I don't always find that on the site, and it has to be there.
In many occasions, we require that demo plan, especially for this demo, to be signed and sealed by or reviewed by structural engineer, to make sure that, to be reviewed by specialists who understand the structure.
That's what the standard
is. Because this column is like falling.
Yes, very important. Thanks for doing that. The other thing is to make sure the demo contractors are following it. We've had a couple fatalities in the last few years. One, they were demoing the building and putting the demo materials on a floor and kept piling it on the floor, and then it finally gave way. And then another, someone removed a beam that shouldn't have been removed at that time, and then a floor giving way. So you gotta have the demo plan, and they gotta follow the plan.
I just had one, and big thing is you have to have the ongoing inspection by a qualified competent person also. Thank God nobody died in this one, but the reason nobody died is the competent person was walking the site to make sure everything was safe, and a column prematurely let go. And it's going to happen because the building is 100 years old. I mean, as an engineer, you look at, okay, this column's going to hold this much weight. That's what it was 100 years ago. Now it's been exposed to rust and corrosion, whatever. That column could not withstand the load that was imposed because it's old, and the building collapsed. And luckily, he's told up the wrong way. Everybody got away. Nobody got hurt seriously. We got one man needed
On many occasions, you cannot see these structural numbers because they're behind walls, but you don't want the process to look at them. So it's a continuous process and that's the scary part of it.
That's all construction and demolition.
I have a question about grants. What does that cover? Is it training only or grants?
The MIOSHA grant, training or equipment, safety material, safety equipment.
Last time I checked, there's still like $200,000 in it for this year.
2 months left. Wow.
The first year we did it, it kind of got soaked up in 4 months. And this year, I think the big thing is some people think if they got it a couple of years ago, they can't apply again. And the first year we did it, it was a test thing. We said we're going to do it 1 year only. And the response was so great by you guys that Bart and Lawrence and the director said, hey, look, why don't we set money aside every year, because this is such a great thing, because it's giving an opportunity to people who might not have the funds. And what we've seen, people are spending 30, 40, 50,000 to get that 5. You don't have to. The law says it's matching grant fund, 5,000. But they're spending more because they're getting this little wet. And that's a plus for all of us because spending it on safety, via equipment or training. Any other questions?
Yeah, shortly after we started the MIOSHA, an employer wrote us back that the fall protection equipment he purchased saved an employee's life because they had fallen from height. And so, that just makes us excited and want to make sure this money gets out there and protect these employees.